big campus. We had, and I thought this was an interesting thing. We have two shots, and they're very definitive, informative shots of the buses leaving the school. You see the gate open, the buses start to leave, the camera follows after the last bus goes. There are only 3 buses. 2 buses have 4 windows with 4 rows of seats. 1 bus has 6 windows with 6 rows of seats. There are only 2 seats on each side of each row. And there are 2 scenes that show this, by the way, not just one. Okay. 2 scenes that show the same 3 buses. And if you add up the number of students that could be sitting there, the biggest possible number is 56. And they referred to a very small number of stragglers still on campus. How many kids are in each grade of this school? Apparently, the number is about 14.
I mean, it's like a private prep school, so it's going to be limited.
Well, if it's a prep school, they could all be 17, right? And then you have like 56 17-year-old seniors or prep school students, and I guess that were. But if it's a high school, because that's kind of what I thought it was.
Oh, certainly not a public. By no means a public. Whatever it is,
it looks fancy.
Yeah.
But if every single seat in those buses were filled, there were 56 students in those buses, and to our knowledge, there's 4 plus maybe a couple other students, right? And actually, 2 of those students were supposed to be on those buses that should have been filled. There's just a handful of other students. So there are very few students on this campus.
Yeah. And there was a bunch in that classroom in the beginning, too. They all seemed to have the same class.
Right. That was one classroom with what I felt like was 20 plus students.
Maybe only the seniors can live on campus.
So that was an interesting thing. And then, of course, I had my moment that I waved my hand at, and it doesn't bother me, but did they really not do roll call before they left for like a week with the students to go camping?
They Home Aloned it. Well, no, wait. Maybe the 3 told them they weren't going, and Hartnett told them he didn't have Hartnett's name because she just gave him the sign-in sheet.
Right, it was a sort of...
So he never turned that in.
She never turned it in the sign-in sheet, and the other kid got told he couldn't go.
Yeah, Michelle Williams couldn't go.
And the other girls were already not going. So, okay, that'll do that away, I guess.
And that seems like an organic way to keep him there, right? So he's going to go, she can't go because of her deadbeat parents, and then the other 2 are like, oh, we're staying here. And
also, just nitpick while we're at it. What parents send their kid to a school like that and can't fork over whatever allowance to allow her to go on this trip?
She's a scholarship, man. She's Michelle Williams. You want Michelle Williams at your school.
She might be some kind of scholarship, I guess.
You want Michelle Williams there.
I have another.
Sorry, Adam.
It's a mild criticism, right? It's a mild criticism. Maybe it's just because the kids thought it would be cool. But when I saw what those kids did for their Halloween party, our 2 couples, I really thought to myself, this would be just as fun if they were just in their dorm room.
I mean, they kind of were. I mean, they were like in a boiler room too, or whatever that was. I don't know what it was, but it was very cramped. So it might as well have been their dorm. It was whatever it was. It was close to the kitchen, which made sense because they were just raiding the cafeteria.
Just come back though. I was really proud of myself for my bus observation.
I love that bus. You blew my mind, man.
I rewound it.
Grand.
And by the way, in the very opening scene when not JGL, I think it's when JGL is going to go in the house. It's either when JGL is going to go into her house or when she was going up to JGL's house. There is a Halloween decoration on the porch that looks like a dummy. Mm-hmm. It's Chatterbox, or it's Butterball from Hellraiser.
Really?
Whoa.
I do remember that.
Yeah, it's a Butterball mask on a dummy, and I thought that was so awesome just to be there. In addition to the Scream 2 on the screen, like I like that there was an additional like horror nod in there.
Well, the writers had worked on it, so that's cool. Hellraiser 3.
Is that true?
Chatterbox was in that, yeah.
Oh no, shit. I don't know if Chatterbox was in Hellraiser 3 or Butterball. I mean Butterball. I think he's just in 1 and 2 because Hellraiser. Oh no, Hellraiser 3. It could have. That's right. I'm sorry. I was confusing that with Bloodline because Bloodline had all new ones.
Hell on Earth is the third one.
What'd y'all think about Chekhov's dumbwaiter?
I love the dumbwaiter, okay, for multiple reasons. 1, you show me a dumbwaiter, I already imagine there's some fun shenanigans that can happen. 2, that poor girl. I don't think that they properly embraced the horror of it, but the tone was a little lighter in this movie anyway. She crawled into a dumbwaiter with her dead boyfriend to get away from Michael Myers. And I guess, the desperation's there. But that should have been, or could have been, in a differently toned movie, a different atmosphered movie, a much more emotionally gruesome moment as she's going up. And then when she's trying to get out and Myers cuts the rope.
Right.
And it almost takes off her leg.
I mean, it's basically off. It's hanging by a thread.
Oh, God. It was like all the meat was severed, but the bone stayed in place, right?
Something like that. Yeah, just meat and sinew. She played it well, but you're right. It would have been really morose. Any other scenario.
I have one more question for y'all, then I got something fancy for y'all. So how can Michael Myers see? Because if he's in Halloween 2, he gets both of his eyes shot out.
Yeah, I was gonna say this movie. I don't want to give John any more ammo because I know you did. The Halloween 2 doesn't count or not, but his hand is shown very visibly in the beginning of this movie, and it doesn't look burned at all. It looks like a very normal person. So honestly, I'm glad they don't care. I'm glad they're not giving too much, evidence to justify, because that just takes time. But, the easy answer, right, is he's just supernatural to a degree and he healed or whatever. But you're right. There's his eye, which was stabbed in the beginning with the hanger of Halloween, or the end of Halloween 1, that's accounted for, or not accounted for, rather. He can see fine. The shots from Halloween 2 are there.
You even see the skin around his eyes. Like, they show you so clearly. Like, there's not a scar, right? Yeah,
there's no cosmetic or anything, especially on his hands, which look perfectly clean. So I don't know what the decision was on the screenwriting part, but I'm fine with it. It is what it is.
All right. I just want to show you guys. Mark? Yeah, one more. I looked at some photos here from the beginning on the wall. And they said that Laurie died she was pretending to drive. She drove too fast on a country road.
Yeah.
And she drove off and died. So at the end of this, she's driving off fast on the country road too, and dies. And then also,
without a seatbelt.
Michael has been in Nebraska. So according to Loomis's wall, he's been in Iowa 4 times, Nebraska 3 times.
Yeah.
He's been in Illinois, and a bunch of spots in Illinois. He's been in Iowa, and then he was also been in California before. He spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 different spots in California.
Did you freeze frame and study?
I know that too. It's been long enough.
Yeah. So he's been in California 10 times apparently, and 2 wounded outside Magic Mountain. So youth killed, 2 wounded.
That's interesting. That's so wild. I mean, I like the textural context. But at the same time, I don't know if it's meant to be anything more than, he's still out there and being active.
And he's looking for stuff, right? To maybe
maybe not. I mean, it goes back to the original movie, right? Where maybe he didn't care so much about a sister to kill, right? He was just out trick or treating.
So what do y'all think? Do you? I don't know. I just love those walls. I freeze framed every aspect of it, and I also I don't know, I had to look at those. So I got something fun for us real quick before we get out of here. I want to do a horror movie draft where you, Adam and John, pick horror movies that have water scenes in them.
Water scenes?
Because we're talking about Halloween H20.
Oh, dear. Okay.
So you're going to pick horror movies that feature scenes that, famous water scenes. So it could be anything. Nightmare on Elm Street with the claw. It could be... The Descent.
Wait, don't say anymore.
Oh, my bad.
Don't you give it away.
All right. Horror movies that feature moments involving lots of water. So, John, you go first.
Okay. It Follows, full scene.
Hey, I want to do a final fight about that. All right, Adam.
On that, I'm gonna parallel it appropriately with Let the Right One In.
Okay.
So bloody.
Did we say they had to be horror?
Yep, horror.
Okay. All right. So
back to school.
So I can't do the trash compactor for Star Wars. Gotcha. This is from Empire. The Descent.
Yeah.
The Descent, emerging from the water like Rambo or in Platoon.
I love it.
In The Descent.
Great blood moment. It's a liquid. It counts.
It was water. It just was also awful and urine and but there was water in there. Condensation was dripping down, getting there.
You're getting a staph infection.
Yeah.
It's hackneyed, but I gotta say Jaws.
Oh, I'm gonna give you Jaws 2.
You're giving him Jaws 2 specifically?
Jaws. You get Jaws. I'm joking.
Give me Jaws 4.
All right, so we got It Follows, The Descent, Let the Right One In, Jaws.
Okay. I'm trying to. Oh, Mark is going to like this one more than he realizes. I want Drag Me to Hell when she falls in the rain into the gypsy's grave.
Yeah, it was
Beautiful scene.
That's a really good one. Comic,
I love that scene.
classic slapstick comedy there too.
Oh yeah. When the gypsy embalming
fluid
fluid vomits out onto her face and just
Right.
I got
So
you, you
much.
old bitch.
I got you.
I guess I'll parallel that one too, because you're just inspiring my choice now. But Poltergeist, same thing. Graveyard.
Oh, the pool scene. Oh, beautiful. I really had that locked in my head too. I didn't want to pick that early because I thought it was a safe pick. I actually have it written down on my notes here. Okay. I'm going to go. Oh God, I don't know if I want that.
I got two more on my
I've
list.
got a couple things. I furiously scribbled down some notes when we started this.
I just thought of a great one.
This is
fun. I'm just hanging
I'm
out
going
on
to
the
do Graveyard Shift.
Ooh.
When you first see the long rat tail, when someone falls down through the basement of that main textile factory into those like catacomb, almost like caverns below, they fall into the water, and right after he falls into the water, you're a plop in the water and you see this big giant rat tail trailing into the water. And that's funny because it's not a rat, it's actually a giant bat that has a rat tail in Graveyard Shift.
Oh, I love it. Perfect. Adam.
Gremlins.
Yep.
Ooh,
I was thinking Gremlins too because of the cannonball.
I'm so upset I didn't think of that.
Cannonballs into that thing.
Kind of
I got a Gremlins episode releasing with Norbert soon.
I'm a little upset. I'm disappointed now.
All right, fifth one.
Mark, how many do you want us to have? Because I only have like two more off top.
You're doing 5 each.
Oh, okay.
One more.
Yep.
One more. Okay. Aliens. The alien emerges from the water behind
That was my next pick.
Boom!
Whoa.
Steal. That's what you get for stealing Gremlins from my
My
son.
aliens.
Wow. I couldn't vote on this.
I got a lame backup, but I got one.
I don't know if I could vote on this. I'd be like that dude from Love Actually when Keira Knightley figures out that he filmed her and he's walking outside all depressed.
Is that all of them?
Yep.
How you feel?
Can you give us a read back
Yeah.
for the picks?
What's up?
I know my picks. What were all his picks?
Oh no, he has one more. Adam has one more.
Yeah, I could sit here and toil on it, but I'll just take a cheap one, an unexpected one, but a cheap one. It's probably not going to get me many points. Halloween 5, the opening sequence when Myers comes down the sort of mine shaft into the river, because it's just so funny and awkward just watching this guy in like a jumpsuit.
I gotta agree. That is exactly what that was.
Yeah.
It was a
Very awkwardly shot.
He gets saved by a hermit.
Saved by a hermit with famously cut footage that originally involved witches. Just very odd.
All right, so guys, what are your final thoughts about H2O? Adam, I'll let you go first.
Oh goodness. I think I want to say this because it's after the 2018 rendition. I think it's astonishing that Jamie Lee Curtis and the team or her alone would be okay or nominate to wipe the slate clean of all the former entries, which obviously there's a lot of reasons for marketing, but because this movie is such a standout. And because she so decidedly wanted to honor the franchise and the fans for giving her job, essentially, it's interesting and it's wild to me. And I don't know of any other example in Hollywood before this, at least, that's happened where, a franchise has so willingly swept something like this under the rug in favor of a redo, which I guess I'm coining that now. Given how celebratory it is for the first movie. I think both have their own merits, but, I think we've certainly all gone over reasons why we maybe like this one in other ways over the 2018 version. So in my mind, these are wonderful little quirky parallels of the Laurie Strode character of, what could have been in one timeline versus, what could have been in another. So, with that, I just think for the time especially is exactly what this franchise needed. And maybe that was a little too much Scream and maybe a little too much Kevin Williamson. But, for my money, after Halloween 6, this was exactly the adrenaline shot that the franchise needed. So I do like it for that. And I do agree with John that it holds up and it warms upon each viewing.
That was very eloquent. Thank you. Living good?
Well, yeah, I agree with the